Sagittarius, welcome to your end of February 2023 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. As a Sun and Sag, I'm always interested in these readings for Sag. You got that fire energy flanking the Ace of Swords. I'm liking this. Me likey. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. And even though this deck doesn't follow the Rider-Waite imagery, it certainly is fairly descriptive of what the cards mean. So it's very friendly to kind of grasp the meaning if you know a little bit about the cards. The heart of the matter is the Ace of Swords. Aces are beginnings, and the swords have to do with the mindset and ideas. And so it can be like a new way of looking at life. But I also, because of the Rider-Waite deck imagery, I also think of the sword cutting through. To me, it seems like algae in the water, and like kind of cutting through the illusion, the rubbish, and being able to start a new path because the person has the insight. It's sometimes maybe cutting through illusions. And some of those illusions might be coming from yourself, you know, things that you've told yourself that are simply untrue, maybe to protect yourself, maybe because you didn't want to face something, and now you can move forward. And certainly in this time frame until at least after the first week of April, but even a couple of weeks beyond that, you could say to some degree, all the personal plants are direct, and you know, till April 7th, nothing is in shadow period. So that's a great time to start a new path, if you feel called to, of course. And you see like those there's like a black bird there. They often use that. In this deck, they often use the imagery of black birds for some of the swords cards, probably because, you know, that idea of the negativity. It's just cool how they you know, illustrate it like that. So a lot of times I see like that breakthrough, and it can come from other people, like somebody who's cheating, and you finally admit it to yourself that you're dealing with somebody who's being deceptive to you, and or even in the workplace too. Speaking of which, the past position is the Two of Wands. Whenever you see a 2 in a tarot reading, it could indicate like a crossroads. Wands can be like career matters, passion. So if a person is in a relationship and it's very dry, and maybe it's very comfortable from the standpoint of like financially, but they don't feel like a passion, you know, I was going to say a water sign. A fire sign wants to have passion in life. An earth sign, which is represented by pentacles, may favor stability or something grounded. That's their go-to, that's their default way of navigating life. So for Sag, the question always is this bringing me passion? Or do I feel like I'm going through the motions in my job, in my relationship? But it could be like two careers that you are kind of, there's a path that you have to choose. And the Ace of Swords can be that sense of clarity about which way you want to go. And as we get into Aries season in the latter part of March, you may find that this starts to open up for you, because this will be like fifth house energy, and even like your own business, like entrepreneurship, things like that too, creativity. The higher message is the Knight of Wands. Now, I heard that this card is connected specifically to Sag, and I connect it to Aries because I think of knights as warriors and things like that. But regardless, the fire energy is all about being bold, you know, and being very kind of like footloose and fancy free. There's a real sense of freedom. Now, there's an instability with the knight because it is not the king. The king is older in terms of the level of groundedness and things like that. But the knight could be more bold in the sense that they're willing to take chances and things like that. And so for some Sagittarius, it might be, hey, what happened to your uh, adventurous side? Did you kind of let that go and you kind of settled into this security mindedness, but something that did not lead you to feel stimulated? And I'm not talking about like that kind of fake stimulation that's really kind of being on the edge of your seat all the time because you're you're afraid that you're about to just lose everything. I'm talking more about the the way people feel when they're invigorated, when they, yeah, maybe they have a challenge. Maybe it's not just kind of coasting along, but it doesn't mean that it has to be anxiety provoking either. So perhaps you kind of became complacent and you need to kind of find that warrior spirit within yourself. And part of that is trusting the universe too. Now, of course, some people are very foolhardy and they do things without thinking. So it's walking a tightrope for sure. What crosses you is the Justice card, and this can be a feeling. For some people, now this will be Sagittarius who have placements in Pisces, like the moon in Pisces, or maybe Mars in Pisces, or maybe even Pisces rising, especially. Not necessarily. This card is actually connected to Libra, but I'm thinking of this sense of feeling victimized, feeling like life is unfair, and that kind of causing you to play small because you don't feel like you can have what you want to have. So there are certain times where people allow themselves to make safe choices over what they really want because they have experienced, maybe it is true that you've experienced certain things that make you feel like you can't have what you want. But, the truth is that when you are in your power, which means that you are calling the shots, you can have the sense of like, I'm able to do this and nobody can come between me and my dreams. That does take some practice if you have been operating from the standpoint of not being able to do something. So I'm not saying it's just like easy to snap your fingers and do it, but realizing how you view yourself and life and whether or not you think that you are being held back by some invisible thing. I mean, even in the chart, if you have plants in the 12th house, including Saturn or the sun, all those, you can feel that sense of learned helplessness that can make it hard for you to really, embody this belief that you can achieve certain things. And that's on you. That's something that you can work with this. You can heal this. It may not come overnight, but you can do this. There may be a Libra person who is not benefiting your life, even though Sag and Libra is supposed to be like compatible. That's only on paper. Individuals carry their own, you know, individual charts and their own influences, and maybe you're kind of you're getting your what's that phrase? Haven't you have their number? They might be this charmer, and you have believed them over and over again, and now you realize, oh yeah, this person kind of is a con artist. And it could even be like work related, career related too. Sometimes you're dealing with people, it could be a coworker, and there are people, they're very charming, but they're also very deceptive at the same time. I don't have any cards here like really about deception itself, but when I get this Ace of Swords, I often think of somebody who's having an aha moment, perhaps about a certain person in their life. Um, what's coming in is the Nine of Pentacles. I love to see this card for Sag because this can be a sense of financial independence. So whether it's like you are realizing that this is already true for you and you don't need someone else, like for instance, if you're in a relationship and you're debating whether or not to leave that relationship, and you say to yourself, well, that's going to be a step down for me if I have to pay all my own bills. And then you crunch the numbers and you realize, you know what? I've been doing this, that, and the other thing, and that has been costing me more money. I'm not going to need to do that anymore because a lot of times, if people don't feel happy, they tend to buy things like, for instance, if they're in a job that they don't like, that's stressful, they may go out more because they want to just kind of justify the sacrifice they're making being at a job they don't like. And they may find that when they are doing something that's less stressful or more enjoyable, that they don't need to kind of reward themselves because they're already feeling good. They already feel aligned with what they're doing. So it's not like they have to give themselves a little treat. I mean, of course you give yourself treats, but just excessively because of that. So it's a very it's just a good financial card, I would say in general. And the outcome, oh wow, I really love this card. This one is connected to Aries, the Magician. And in this particular, this is not like the Rider Waite deck, but you can see that whirlpool, I guess you would call it. And this is kind of like, it reminds me of that phrase from Abraham Hicks, the vortex. This idea of like where you're the zero point or the creation, the womb of creation, where everything begins before manifesting in the physical. And it's kind of like, it looks like kind of like making a wish. But the Magician card is really about co-creating with the universe. And that to me is a very active thing. It's not just like throwing a penny into a pond, a wishing well. It does, I think it requires inspired action. And because this card is connected to Aries, a fire sign, that is actually a cardinal sign, which means it's a take charge kind of a sign. It's like you are being active in following your bliss. And I think it's very telling that it's right below the Knight of Wands, because I told you that I actually connect that card to Aries. And Aries is, the first sign of the zodiac. That's where the astrological new year occurs a month from now, an exact month from when I'm recording this on February 20th. And there's that feeling of newness. We have a solar eclipse there the next day. So in that March period, everything starts to really speed up. I mean, it already is. If you're, watching this in February, it already is, but I think it's just going to get even more. I just picture I really honestly did picture the roller coaster when it first leaves the gate. And it's kind of like, it might still be kind of flat. It's not going up, it's not going down, but it's starting to really accelerate. So anyway, and when I say roller coaster, I don't mean like chaotic necessarily, but definitely exhilarating, maybe a little bit hair-raising, but definitely something that Sag tends to resonate with. That sense of excitement. So that's what I have for you, Sag. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I'm primarily an astrologer, but I love the tarot too because it does offer a different perspective. I have some package deals my deep dive in the whole enchilada. The whole enchilada is with the tarot, and the deep dive is double astrology. Um, so you can find out more information about all my readings at the link below. Thank you for watching. Take care. Bye. Hi, Sagittarius. Welcome to your end of February 2023 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. As a Sun and Sag, I'm always interested in these readings for Sag. You got that fire energy flanking the Ace of Swords. I'm liking this. Me likey. Oh my goodness. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay. And even though this deck doesn't follow the Rider-Waite imagery, it certainly is fairly descriptive of what the cards mean. So it's very friendly to kind of grasp the meaning if you know a little bit about the cards. The heart of the matter is the Ace of Swords. Aces are beginnings, and the swords have to do with the mindset and ideas. And so it can be like a new way of looking at life. But I also, because of the Rider-Waite deck imagery, I also think of the sword cutting through. To me, it seems like algae in the water, and like kind of cutting through the illusion, the rubbish, and being able to start a new path because the person has the insight. It's sometimes maybe cutting through illusions. And some of those illusions might be coming from yourself, you know, things that you've told yourself that are simply untrue, maybe to protect yourself, maybe because you didn't want to face something, and now you can move forward. And certainly in this time frame until at least after the first week of April, but even a couple of weeks beyond that, you could say to some degree, all the personal plants are direct, and you know, till April 7th, nothing is in shadow period. So that's a great time to start a new path, if you feel called to, of course. And you see like those black, there's like a black bird there. They often use that. In this deck, they often use the imagery of black birds for some of the swords cards, probably because, you know, that idea of the negativity